Abusia, this matter is not ended. Gossip politics. So, Kpandai rerun of election. Yedi kan ababe breaki. Sa news no edi amamo say Supreme Court ruling in favor of NPP. Omo a dismiss case no rerun of elections no. Omo a kwashina sisiano NDC for omo so HSA. Na wo sa elections we are. The number of votes are NPP inya sa Matthew Nyandam no inya ya omo regi sa election in tebusia NDC legal team ateki quick action say my majority chief whip or say this matter is not ended and review or mobile file for review say NDC legal team no and NDC Director of Election, Dr. Rashid Tanko, and so Ede Ehonsem Ababe Tuja, Omo Ebabe take quick action on a Supreme Court ruling on Kpandai rerun of election. Abusia, Mami Anko na Yankonko T and Sama Ekoso. Unsubscribe ya, subscribe, like, na share ma afofron so ensa into me and kabina or share and nyoma NPP for no they are singing praises omo say omo they will always fight and win, and I say they will always do the right thing against NDC amanukuna abusuya enye asam keto akra intino utie omonyoma amoche say the elephant the winning symbol we shall win to save Ghana into omonyoma na omoto even kra majority chief whip oye interview no abusuya omotunyom ejidede e disturb na or say omonti obi akis Supreme Court ruling in favor of Matthew Nyandam. Momi yankona yankonkoti and some so unsubscribe subscribe, like, and share my afofron so answer into me and don't forget to click on the notification bell. Gossip politics so
the jubilant moods of the constituents, some constituents in the Kpandai constituency. Let's now take a listen to Roxanne Nelson Dafiamekwo. He is on the side of the NDC and he spoke to us after the ruling of the Supreme Court.
Ladies and gentlemen of the press, the court has just given its decision in the Kpandai matter. Is to the effect that the decision of the Tamale High Court, the Commercial Division, decided by Justice be quashed by a 4-1 decision. Now, as a party, we are aggrieved by this decision, and therefore we will advise our candidate in the matter regarding the next step to take. But the court is a court of equity and of law. We should be interested in the Gazette notification published by the Assembly Press under the authority of the Electoral Commission that was brought to Parliament, for which people like me were sworn in. That cannot be a gazette that will be discounted by the court because it's a public document. The NPP cannot benefit from that gazette notification and come to court and say that that is not the proper document. You see, the NPP, when the Tamale court gave the decision in our favor, they called the court the kangaroo court. Today, when they got the court decision in their favor, they are singing the praises of the court. But we are law-abiding. We want to urge our TV supporters, both here and in Kpandai, to remain calm. This is not the end. This matter is not the end. The ruling of the court will be filed according to the court's own decision by the 6th of February. When we obtain the ruling, and that's the certified true copy, and we study it, we will advise ourselves. There's a review option. So this matter is not ended. It's not ended.
Well, Roxanne Nelson Afiamekwo says this is not ended and that there is a review option. Of course, that option is on the table, but as explained by Joseph Akable, falls within two very small or critical brackets that the review application should fall within. If it falls within that, they can go to court where two more justices will be added to the 5 who presided over this case. And this 5, the ruling was a 4-1 majority decision. So the NDC will have to convince a few more others of the 4 who did not support the decision of the NDC, and then hopefully the 2 who will be added to the bench will also be convinced by the new arguments or by the new circumstances that they will present to the court. In a few moments,
that, but I strongly believe that whatever be the case, I will lead the people of Kpandai. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Right, so you had the MP for Kpandai, Matthew Nyindam. He retains his seat for the people of Kpandai in Parliament. You heard him. He's still very convicted. Says he's thankful to God. I mean, basically, if you were observing the run of things, you realize that once the decision of the court was made, he posted on his Facebook wall that it is done, God has done it, and so he seems to be a man of faith. I mean, this has been up and coming, looking at everything that has transpired right from December till date. The NPP went to court, filed a certiorari application, praying the court to quash the Tamale High Court's decision, which nullified Matthew Nyindam's election as a Kpandai Member of Parliament. Now, the argument of the NDC was that there was a gazette which was compiled on 6th January, and in their stance they indicated that that should have been the gazette that the High Court should have relied on. But in their arguments, the lawyer for the Electoral Commission, Justin Amenuvo, he indicated that once the gazette had been filed in December, he went for the hard copy, and so that was what was published. And so he also prayed the court to rely on those records, for which reason the Apex Court, in their 4-1 decision, finally gave their verdict on the Kpandai election. And so that is what we have today. Early on, you heard the counsel for Daniel Nsala Wakpao in the person of the NDC Director of Election, Gary Nemako. He's saying that they'll assess the situation. Pardon me. Sorry.
So my colleague Lord Edward Sare there, but earlier was an interaction he had with the Member of Parliament for Kpandai, Matthew Nyindam there. And the news is that the Supreme Court has made a decision. It has ruled on that. Well, it was scheduled to arrive at a decision today on whether or not to quash the Tamale High Court judgment that annulled the 2024 parliamentary election in Kpandai and ordered a rerun. Now, this ruling determines whether the High Court's annulment and rerun order stands or is overturned on legal grounds, mainly whether the petition was filed within the legally mandated time. And now we know that the Supreme Court says that did not happen. Now, why the case went to the Supreme Court in the first place is that in November 2025, the Tamale High Court, it nullified the December 2024 Kpandai election results. And then that court ordered a rerun within 30 days after finding what it calls widespread irregularities. Well, the NPP MP, his name is Matthew Nyindam, and he's the one we heard from a while ago. He challenged that ruling of the court, and he challenged it at the Supreme Court. He argued that the petition was filed outside the 21-day legal window, and so the High Court had no jurisdiction. These are legal languages, legal terms. The Supreme Court then should suspend the rerun. That is what he said. That is what one of the demands that he made when he went to the Supreme Court. Well, before the rerun, the Supreme Court suspended all preparations for the re-election that had been scheduled for December 30, 2025. Now, this suspension was to allow the Supreme Court to fully consider Matthew Nyindam's legal challenge rather than let the rerun go ahead while it was pending. This is another thing, that the Electoral Commission and Parliament actions so far. The Electoral Commission had announced December 30, 2025 as the rerun date because it received a formal vacancy notification from the Clerk of Parliament under the High Court order. That was before the Supreme Court ruling, of course. However, parliamentary proceedings were disrupted amid controversy over whether the seat should be declared vacant while the court battles continued. You saw that on your screen when it was happening. Now to the polling trends before the suspension. A pre-rerun poll, it showed that the NDC candidate, his name is Daniel Nsala Wakpai. He was slightly ahead, very slightly, ahead of Matthew Nyendam. But the race, of course, had not happened and was still yet to happen. So we cannot definitely say what has happened. This is just a few of the journey so far. There's more. But now let's cross over to my colleague, Christopher Mwako. He is in the community and he has to update us on how the residents in the constituency, how they are reacting to this ruling from the Supreme Court. Before we speak to Christopher, Gary Nimako is representing the NPP. He is lawyer for Matthew Nyendam, who has, if you like, won right now. Let's cross over. We'll try and reconnect with Christopher Amwako as he tells us how excited the constituents of Kpandai are in relation to this development. But that's the news that the Supreme Court has, by a majority decision. It has quashed the ruling from the High Court. Let's cross over to the Supreme Court, I believe, where the acting director of elections of the NDC, Rashid Tanko Computer, is speaking now.
We believe that people are using technicalities to perpetuate themselves into parliament. And that is why we are against, and we think that this is not the kind of results we're expecting. Because if you look at the ruling at the Tamale High Court, it was very clear that one polling station recorded 1,400 votes. Another polling station recorded 1,200 votes. You and I know that we don't have that kind of polling stations in Ghana. The highest we have is 750. So if somebody won an election with such a rule, polling resource, 1,400, 1,200, one polling station, that tells you a lot. Otherwise, it means that anytime I can rig an election and use backdoors, mean technicality, to allow the rigging to stay.
You believe that this is what has happened in this matter?
That is why we are saying that they use technicalities. They are talking of the Gazette. And that Gazette was brought by the MPP. And that's why we cited them for fraud in our affidavit. And then we believe that the Gazette that we used was the authentic Gazette because it emanated from the Electoral Commission. So the ruling is, that's why we are saying we will hold our horses for February 6th to see the reasoning behind that. And then we'll take it because we believe that we can go the whole of review on this matter. We believe that Nyendam was not properly elected. Nyendam should not benefit from this technicality that they have done. We respect the judges. Their ruling, that is the laws. Whatever they say, we have nothing against them. We are law-abiding political party. We will not call them names, unlike our opponents. Just 3 days ago, they held a press conference and ran down the whole judiciary. The Chief Justice and all the judges, they ran them down. The judge who made the ruling in Tamale, they called him all manner of names, said all manner of things. The NDC lost the Suhum one, the case in Suhum. We didn't call the judge any name. We accepted the verdict. Today, we're confident of winning. We lost. We accepted the decision, but we disagree. We wait for the reasoning and we'll take our action thereafter.
As far as claims of fraud are concerned, in his argument, the lawyer for the Electoral Commission, Justin Amenuvo, he indicated that the Gazette that was compiled, he compiled that one that was compiled in December and then the January ones. And so he actually asked the court to rely on those because he believes that the December Gazette had been compiled as well.
Why didn't they tell the Tamale High Court when they were party to the matter? When the MPP brought the affidavit and attached the 6th January Gazette notification, Electoral Commission lawyers were sitting there at the case management stage. Why didn't they raise that matter? Why didn't they bring the Gazette of 2024, 24th December? Why didn't they bring it there? That is why we are citing them for fraud. They knew what they were doing. That's why they shouldn't benefit from this. But the law laws have spoken. They've spoken. That is their decision. And then so we will look at it and see. We believe that Nyendam was not properly elected. The good people of Kpandai did not elect Nyendam. Nyendam and his group rigged the election. And they were exposed by the Tamale High Court with the pink sheets indicating a polling station recording 1,400 votes. Another 1,200. So the 3,000 votes he has, 2 polling stations, he got 2,000 already. How can you get a resource like this and say you are an MP? This is a rigged election. But technicality is also part of the law. And they try to use that route and got the decision they've gotten. We are not relenting. We will come back to it.
Come back to it. Deputy Director of Elections for the...
the candidate...
This is heavy defeat, heavy loss for us. We were expecting much better results, but the Apex Court ruled not in your favor. What are your comments?
Thank you very much. I don't have anything to say. I just want to use this opportunity to thank my supporters. You can see all those who are gathered here are all from Kpandai. You can't see, apart from computer, our election director and the majority chief whip. I mean, 1 or 2 MPs. I can't see anybody around. Maybe we'll have enough seats. Because this is not the case that we should throw it away. The MPP didn't come to Supreme Court that the ruling that was delivered in High Court was fake. They came here with technicalities that were out of time. And like computer said, when they brought Steve, that was the date that members of parliament was gazetted. The EC, was part of the case, was there. He didn't say anything. If they have won, I don't think they would have come to Supreme Court. But they waited. The case was done, they lost. They had to go and pick another case that there was under 24th Gazette. So I have nothing to say. I thank God, thank my supporters, the people of Kpandai. They all know that we have fought a good fight. And we're happy. They didn't say they didn't rig the election. They said we're out of time. And we'll see. We are waiting for the ruling and we'll take it from there. Thank you very much. Just stay here for a minute.
So that's what happened at the Supreme Court today by a 4-1 majority decision that quashed the High Court ruling that annulled the election of the NPP parliamentary candidate for Kpandai, Matthew Nyindam. So this is the story that after the 2024 elections, the NDC went to court there, and that the argument was that Matthew Nyindam was not properly elected. Summarily, this is what the case is about. And then the court there took a decision and said, yes, it did not happen. Subsequently, documents were taken to Parliament that the seat be declared vacant. So Matthew Nyindam and his team also went to court, but they went to the Supreme Court. And a ruling of the Supreme Court, what they were seeking the Supreme Court to do is that they should quash the ruling of the High Court. And that ruling has come. The Supreme Court has, by a 4-1 majority decision, quashed that ruling. And what you hear the acting director of elections of the NDC say, and I'm talking about Rashid Tanko Computer, is that it's based on technicalities. This is it, that an application was filed by Nyindam to invoke the Supreme Courts to set aside the High Court ruling. Now, the central issue before the Supreme Court was the date on which the Electoral Commission gazetted the results of the 2024 parliamentary election for the Kpandai constituency. You should note that under Ghana's laws, we're looking at some 21 days. An election petition must be filed within 21 days of the Gazette notification of results, failing which the court lacks jurisdiction to entertain the matter. So the Supreme Court is saying that this High Court, because the NDC acted out of time, this High Court should not have even responded to the case or to even make a determination or make a ruling on the matter. Let's get more on this and speak with lawyer Joseph Akable. He's joining us. Joseph, thank you for joining us. Explain to us the dynamics of the things we're looking at. What happened?
Okay, abusuya we ne ensema ekoso ewo political highway so NDC legal team and NDC deputy director of election and majority chief whip da farmer bo ono na yetse ne nkase odisa ensem no tudwa ede amaye no unsubscribe ya subscribe like na share ma afofron so ensa into me and kabi aha gossip politics so medamase